If deep in your heart it's still 1978 and your stomach still does a little somersault every time you hear the rev of a motorcycle, if you were, and let's be honest, still are, more of a Fonzie gal than a Richie Cunningham kind of girl, then we need to talk. Because when I hear women say, I know I should want the stable, sweet guy, but I still fall for the one who's just a little bad, I don't roll my eyes. I nod. Because, yeah, I get it. The vibe is strong. The lean against the jukebox, the half smile that says, I know something you don't. Yeah, it's hot. But if you're still getting swept off your feet by the guy who disappears just as fast as he showed up, or if your dating history is basically a mixtape of almosts, maybes, and what ifs, then maybe it's time to ask, am I still chasing the rebel, or am I just too scared to stop? So today we're looking at why some of us still fall for that bad boy energy, even when we're old enough to know better, and how to pivot towards something that feels just as exciting, but way more emotionally available. If that's at all interesting or intriguing, I hope you'll stick around because that's what's on the agenda. You know the guy. Charming smile, he talks a little slower than everybody else, like he knows you'll lean in to hear him, right? There's something playful about him, maybe even magnetic, but somewhere in the back of your brain, a little tiny alarm's going off. He's got the flirt down, but the follow through, not so much. You go from giddy after the first date to mildly confused after the second to wondering if you imagined the whole thing by the third. He says things like, let's play it by ear, which you now realize is code for don't get too attached to this plan. Or to me, here's the catch, it's not wrong to be attracted to charisma, but charisma without character, that's where we get into trouble. Your job isn't to swear off every guy with good hair and a twinkle in his eye. It's to stop ignoring the part where he hasn't followed through on a single plan since you met. Let the flirt be fun, but let the follow through be the test. A man who can keep up the conversation and the commitment, that's the real fantasy. There's something about the guy who doesn't say too much, you know? You lean in, you wonder, you fill in the blanks, and suddenly he's the most fascinating man you've ever met. But sometimes he's not deep, he's just quiet, and you're doing all the heavy lifting. It's like dating a crossword puzzle. Feels like a challenge, but you're the one doing all the work. When a guy is mysterious, you've got to ask yourself, am I drawn to him or am I trying to earn his attention like it's a prize? Are you actually intrigued or are you just chasing the validation of him cracking open somehow for you being the one who can make him open up? You don't need to guess what somebody feels when they're emotionally available. You'll know because they'll tell you. A man who wants to build something real, he's not hiding. He's handing you the map. Here's the classic one. He was nice, but I don't know, there just wasn't a spark. Girl, that's not a spark issue. That's a nervous system that doesn't recognize peace as passion. If you're used to dating men who are inconsistent, then a guy who shows up on time and texts back promptly, that's going to feel weird. Like, where's the roller coaster? Why am I not sweating during dinner? But guess what? That's what dating somebody emotionally healthy feels like. It's called stable. And yeah, it might feel like decaf at first, but give it a minute. Sometimes calm is the new sexy. You just haven't built the craving for it yet. Couple years ago, my mom got really impressed by my videos when she was finally forced onto social media and watched a couple of them. By me, obviously. So a few weeks go by, and she swings by my house to return some of my, glass storage containers. We've been in a 20-year cycle of swapping side dishes like it's currency. And she gives me this very serious look, and she says, Carey, that red subscribe button, does it charge people when they press it? I said, Mom, no, it's free. It's YouTube. And she said, oh, thank God. I've been telling all my friends to press it, and I didn't want them getting billed. So just to clear it up for my mom, and maybe for you too, that little red subscribe button, Doesn't cost a thing, but it does help me out a ton. So please click it. Because if my mom's out here running a grassroots PR with nothing but a rotary phone and raw determination, the least you can do is click the button. Now back to the good stuff. The real work here is noticing when your body interprets peace as boring and saying, uh-oh, no, this might actually be what you've been asking for, girl, because drama, yeah, it's loud, but consistency is where the good stuff lives. We're not always falling for chemistry. Sometimes we're falling for familiarity. And if what's familiar is being the one who tries harder, the one who loves more or waits longer, then of course the emotionally unavailable guy feels like home. If love used to mean proving yourself or performing for attention, then the guy who just gives you his energy and his time, he might feel suspicious, like you're waiting for the other shoe to drop even when there is no other shoe. But just because something feels familiar doesn't mean it's right. It just means it's old, and old patterns don't get to run the show anymore. Here's your power move. When something feels like deja vu in dating, you need to stop and ask yourself, do I like him, or does he just fit an old mold? You want a relationship that feels like a fresh start, not a rerun. Yeah, we all loved Fonzie. He was smooth, he was sharp, he hit the jukebox and made things happen. He was the guy who could walk into a room and make people turn their heads. He was the moment. But let's be honest, Fonzie was never going to show up for family dinner, talk about his feelings, or help you install a ceiling fan. Richie, though, Richie showed up. He was kind, he was thoughtful, and yeah, maybe he wore sweater vests, but he had a 401k probably, and a working emotional vocabulary, I bet. At least he did by the time he was 30. So here's the truth. If you still find yourself chasing the guy who can charm the room, but disappears when it's time to plan something real, you might be dating for the memory, not for the moment. The grown-up glow-up is realizing that the actual bad boy move is showing up with emotional availability and consistency. That's the new rebellion. That's hot. That's the new Fonzie. Here's the truth under the truth. The reason we still get pulled toward the rebel isn't because we want the drama. It's because we want to feel awake, alive, desired, lit up, maybe seen in a way that makes us feel wanted, not just appreciated. We think we have to chase the edgy guy to get that feeling, but you can feel just as alive with somebody who adores you, who listens to you and makes you laugh, makes your coffee the way you like it. Somebody perhaps who texts you back before you start questioning your entire personality. Would that be nice? The electricity doesn't come from his drama. It comes from your connection. So start chasing the feeling, not the fantasy, and watch how your taste shifts from dangerous to, damn, this feels good. Yeah, because at a certain point, the rebel routine just doesn't age that well. If he's still ghosting and still vague and still treating commitment like a curse word, that's just not cool anymore. That's just a guy stuck in his 20s with a Medicare card and still no plan. And if we're being truthful here and honest, you've evolved, you've done the work, and you've outgrown the thrill of chasing somebody who's not even facing the same direction. It's not that the bad boy was wrong, it's that he's done. He had a good run. We thank him for his service. But you're ready for something better, I know it. So, and not because you're settling, but because your standards have caught up to your self-worth. You don't need someone to give you butterflies. You need someone who gives you peace and keeps it interesting. So just know you don't have to give up charm or charisma. You just have to stop confusing it with chaos. You can want the spark, and you can still blush when he walks into a room, but now you're also allowed to want a return text and a dinner plan. A future maybe. So I hope you found that interesting or helpful. If you did, you might want to check out this episode. Oh, and hey, before you go, please give my mom here the thumbs up. She's asking for it like she just got her nails done and she wants to show them off. And please don't forget to subscribe, because every time you do, another rebel buys a planner and actually uses it. I appreciate you hanging out with me today, and until next time, have a good one.